Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Poppin' It's D. About to react to this vid by Naomi Cannibal. This is Mariah Carey revolutionizing the rap feature. Okay, let's see how Mariah Carey changed the game. Let's watch.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel. So a few weeks ago, I actually mentioned being sort of curious as to when the rap feature became popular, as in a pop or R&B star has a song and then a rap artist features on it. And a lot of you guys did inform me that it was Mariah Carey who popularized it. And I realized that Mariah is someone who always sort of pops up in my videos, but I haven't yet made a video that is fully dedicated to Mariah, so today is the day. In current times, it's become relatively popular and almost expected for a pop star to collaborate with a rapper. So popular and so common to the point where we no longer bat an eye at it, and that is thanks to a special collaboration of Mariah's. Mariah Carey is often credited as the artist who popularized the crossover between hip-hop and radio pop and R&B music. However, she wasn't the first artist to do it. In 1990, She Ain't Worth It, a collaboration between Hawaiian pop star Glenn Medeiros and Bobby Brown, topped the Hot 100. The New Jack Swing single was the first chart topper to include a mixture of singing and rapping, and it was also one of the first to have the term featuring in the title. And still, She Ain't Worth It wasn't even the first song or rap collaboration to ever exist, just the first to top the charts. Regardless, it showed the importance of a featured spot, as it could translate into crossover success for the smaller artists and introduce the larger one to an even bigger audience. It also showed that hip-hop collaborations wouldn't necessarily hurt an artist, but could give their songs a more modern, upbeat edge. Even before that, one could look back to songs like Walk This Way, Run DMC's 1986 collaboration with Aerosmith. Though it wasn't pop or R&B, the song was proof hip-hop mixed well with other genres and audiences. Walk This Way was actually the first song to get regular play on rock radio. And since then, we've seen other collabs between rappers and rock artists, like Jay-Z and Linkin Park teaming up on Numb. We've also seen successful rap collaborations between rappers and country artists, like Lil Nas X.
That's the only reason why I ever knew that song,
because of Jay-Z. By the mid-90s, Mariah already had 4 studio albums to her name, including her holiday album, Merry Christmas.
So yeah,
her successful self-titled debut earned Mariah the Best New Artist Award at the 1991 Grammys, as well as Best Female Pop Vocalist. Her vocal ability was often likened to that of Celine Dion and Whitney Houston.
That's a good song. I'm down with that.
A blend of pop, R&B, soul, and gospel to her music, which shifted seamlessly from top 40s pop to heartfelt ballads. By the release of her sophomore album, Emotions, Mariah became the first artist in history to have their first 5 singles top the Hot 100. Her third album, Music Box, produced Without You, Mariah's most successful international single to date, and her Christmas album produced the holiday staple, All I Want for Christmas Is You. After Music Box, which is Mariah's most successful album to date, she was left wanting to go in a different direction musically. Mariah was growing a bit tired of the ballads and pop songs that wanted to be a little urban, but not too urban to be off-putting to her regular fan base. For her next album, Mariah wanted to create music truer to her roots and her personal interests than the music that her label head and husband Tommy Mottola encouraged her to make. When it came time for Mariah to work on her next album, 1995's Daydream, she sought to take the project in a direction that was truly urban contemporary. With more creative control than her past works, she wanted her deeper foray into the hip-hop and R&B spaces to be unmistakable and undeniable. Daydream opens with the lead single Fantasy, which samples the Tom Tom Club's Genius of Love. Mariah chose the sample because it reminded her of growing up, and it worked with the melody and lyrics she already had in mind for Fantasy. Mariah worked with the writer and producer Dave Hall on Fantasy. He was brought in on the project because
I wonder why she picked ODB out of
didn't hold much weight in urban or hip hop music, which were genres.
I mean, he's a big artist, or he was a big artist, but he wasn't nearly as big of an artist as she was, I feel like. And he was so like crazy, so I just think that's such an interesting duo.
Versed in. Hall and Carey worked together previously on her song Dream Lover, which was their first collaboration. Hall said sampling wasn't as big in pop at the time, so the Tom Tom Club sample even gave the original version of Fantasy a bit of an urban edge. In Fantasy, Mariah sings of someone she thinks incessantly about and fantasizes the relationship with, yet to whom she can't confess her feelings. Fantasy was critically acclaimed, and the single made Mariah the first woman to debut atop the Hot 100. Several critics considered Fantasy one of Daydream's best tracks and a career standout for Mariah. When it came time to remix Fantasy, Mariah of course sought out some of the top hip-hop producers to work with. Corey Rooney, a producer who worked with Mariah at the time, proposed Diddy for the remix. Rooney said about this, "First, Tommy shot it down. He said, we need someone more musically inclined. I said, Tommy, please, we need the opposite. We need a guy who's going to completely disrespect this record. That was Puffy in my eyes all day long. He ran it by Mariah, who loved the idea because she was a huge fan of Puffy's. I reached out to Puff right away, who said, absolutely not, she's whack. I'm on a little streak right now. You know that's the way he talks. He said, I don't need no whack juice on me right now." After Diddy realized Mariah was in fact not whack and was a globally successful artist, he was on board to produce the record. Mariah herself suggested Old Dirty Bastard to be the featured rapper. Not only was she a fan, but she also liked Anything, a song he did with SWV. Unsurprisingly, Tony wasn't as fond of the idea. When he remixed Fantasy, Diddy actually re-looped a different part of the Genius of Love sample, claiming Mariah and David had chosen the wrong part to sample on the original. The remixed version of Fantasy was slower and had a more traditional hip-hop sound. In addition, Diddy had Mariah re-record some of her vocals rather than just remix the original ones on the track. Some of Mariah's vocals were also slowed on the remix. According to Rooney, when Old Dirty Bastard showed up to record, he was all over the place. He showed up late, arguing on the phone, and demanding Moet before he started recording.
I was like, why? And she's like such a diva. Like, I'm like, how did this collab come about? Why? I already knew he was on some bullshit, and lo and behold, he was.
Start laying down his lines until after midnight, despite Mariah calling the studio throughout the day and
hard
night
his
to hear
mind.
updates on the record. ODB's verse was recorded in separate parts that were cut together because he fell asleep 3 separate times during the recording session. He apparently said to the engineer, "Y'all better have your shit set and record it right because I'm not doing it twice."
Oh.
Mariah loved the final product, and it was actually Tommy's idea to have ODB shout out more cities and countries in the song's intro. After its release, Corey Rooney told a story of a night he went to dinner with Mariah and Tommy, and several clubs and cars were playing the Fantasy remix. He said that hearing the song not just in the nicer areas, but in the hood too, made Mariah cry. She felt that she was finally getting respect in the urban music space, something she had always wanted. According to Rooney, Mariah often talked about wanting to be respected in a similar way to Mary J. Blige, where she was both loved as a mainstream artist, but also an urban one. Mariah said about this, "Mary doesn't have to sell 28 million records to be respected. People respect Mary, and I just want to be respected like her." Aside from being an R&B legend in her own right, Mary J. Blige has collaborated with several rappers and had them feature on her songs. Examples include I Can Love You, which features Lil' Kim, and of course the Real Love remix, which features the notorious B.I.G. The Real Love remix actually came out back in 1992, and again, Mariah didn't invent the rapper feature, but simply popularized it and made it a staple in her music. It was probably something she always wanted to do, but I can imagine seeing artists she genuinely loved, like Mary, do it too, probably inspired Mariah even more. The popularity of the Fantasy remix further proved pop and hip-hop weren't completely separate worlds and could successfully be combined. Throughout the rest of the 90s, Mariah continued on with her hip-hop collaborations.
She was pop, but
Not
it
only
was
were they representative of her
very
strange sound as she gained more creative
inspired,
control,
so I feel like
but were
it
also
meshed really
reflective of her
well.
genuine interest in hip-hop. In 1997, Mariah released Butterfly, her follow-up to Daydream. Both albums represent a
Honey
shift in Mariah's music, which I also saw called a loss of innocence in some regards. Mariah was taking more control over her sound, the producer she worked with, and was also maturing her image. Butterfly's lead single, Honey, was her first since her separation from Tommy Mottola. Some critics saw Honey as the single that officially earned Mariah her way into hip-hop and R&B. No longer was she just seen as a pop star who would sometimes cross over to those genres, but as an artist who had standing and credibility within them. Aside from Mariah, Honey was written and produced by Diddy, Stevie J, and Q-Tip. The success of the Fantasy remix proved mutually beneficial for Mariah and Bad Boy, so it only made sense for them to team up again. In addition, by the late 90s, hip-hop was becoming more and more popular, making it sort of set the pop music on its own. Hip-hop was more mainstream than it had been even at the beginning of the decade, and Bad Boy had contributed to its popularity. The original version of Honey already had a clear hip-hop influence, made even more evident by Diddy's ad-libs throughout. He said Mariah wouldn't even record her vocals in front of him, and admitted it was likely because of his reputation of being hard on artists in the studio. Honey's more suggestive than Mariah's earlier music. Some attributed this to Mariah's closer alignment with R&B and hip-hop, genres in which it's normal for the music to be sexual in nature. Fun fact, the Hey DJ sample used in the song was Mariah's idea, and seems to be a reference to Derek Jeter, who she was dating at the time. Honey debuted at number 1, ironically replacing Mo Money, Mo Problems. This made Diddy and Stevie J the third pair of producers in Hot 100 history to land 3 consecutive number 1s on the chart. The Bad Boy remix of Honey featured Mace and the Lox. It was praised for blending R&B pop and hip-hop seamlessly. Critics also noticed Mariah seemed more confident and comfortable in this era, which was likely attributed to increased freedom in her artistry and honestly in her life. Mariah also released the Honey EP, which included other versions of the song, such as club mixes and the So-So Death mix. Butterfly was full of collaborations with other hip-hop greats. Missy Elliott wrote a song with Mariah called Baby Doll, which she said Mariah's team had gotten in touch with her and Timbaland to produce. Missy said she and Mariah have different writing styles, which when combined, came together to make a hot song. Stevie J ended up producing Baby Doll with Mariah, and he and Corey Rooney also helped write it. Like Honey, Mariah gets a little more intimate on Baby Doll than was typical for her earlier albums. She also recorded Breakdown with Crazy Bone and Wishbone of Bone Thugs and Harmony.
I love this song.
Her song The Roof samples Mobb Deep's The Shook Ones Part 2. So yes, Mariah wanted no mistakes to be made about her love for hip-hop and its influence in her music. Heartbreaker, the lead single from Mariah's 1999 album Rainbow, included a feature from Jay-Z. Like her other rap collaborations, it's a perfect mix of pop and hip-hop, complete with ad-libs and Mariah's dreamy voice. A lot of Mariah's hip-hop collabs also have a sort of funk sound to them too, which bridges the pop and hip-hop well and the R&B when she leans into it. Mariah and Jay wrote and produced Heartbreaker together. Mariah said about the song, "It was from the standpoint of girls who keep going back to that same guy and they can't help themselves. They knew they were going to get hurt. I've been one of those girls, so I know there's a lot of them out there." DJ Clue also helped produce and get hurt. I've been one of those girls, so I know there's a girls who keep going back to that same guy and they can't. Damn. A lot of them out there. DJ Clue also helped produce and
Been there,
joined
done
Jay-Z,
that.
DMX, Method Man, and Redman on the Hard Knock Life tour. Heartbreaker samples the 80s song Attack of the Name Game, which is where the funk sound comes from. Though Heartbreaker had positive fan reception, critics felt it was too similar to the Fantasy remix and that the Fantasy remix was better. To be fair, Mariah completed the entirety of Rainbow in only 3 months, as it was the final album she owed Columbia Records. By that time, she and Tommy were divorced, and Mariah was ready to be done with the label and move on with her career. Regardless, Heartbreaker went #1 on the Hot 100. Mariah also went all out for the video, hiring the director of Rush Hour and some of Jackie Chan's stunt coordinators to create a mini action film in which she confronted her cheating boyfriend. Jay-Z was unable to appear due to a deal in which he couldn't appear in other music videos for a few weeks, as he just worked on a song and video for the movie Blue Streak. Mariah also recorded another version of Heartbreaker with the Brat and Missy Elliott. This version was also produced by DJ Clue and sampled Snoop Dogg's Ain't No Fun If the Homies
Sorry,
Can't
they was
Run.
doing a lot with
Snoop also made an appearance on Rainbow, featuring in the song Crybaby. It's another step of Mariah's into that territory at the intersection of R&B and hip-hop. The song features those synths that were typical of West Coast hip-hop at the time. Crybaby was Mariah's first single to not chart in the top 20, though this seems to be due to lack of promotion from Columbia and the fact that it was ineligible for the charts when it was initially released. Even solo songs on Rainbow, like Did I Do That, have a clear hip-hop influence. It's so obvious this album was another one where Mariah was taking control of her art and simultaneously giving Tommy the finger, as she should. Mariah's collaborations with rappers were so successful that she pioneered a musical trend. So naturally, other artists sought out rappers to feature on their songs or to team up with on remixes of the songs. Destiny's Child's first big hit, 1997's No 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 Part 1, was a slower, sultry R&B jam. However, the remix, No 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 Part 2, was a more up-tempo, hip-hop influenced track, complete with a rap feature from Wyclef Jean. The songs were renamed Part 1 and Part 2 at Wyclef's suggestion after doing the remix. Beyoncé's first solo hit, Crazy in Love, also followed the formula, including a feature from her now husband, Jay-Z. Ironically, though Mottola didn't support the hip-hop direction when it was Mariah's idea, he eventually tried to use the trend that she popularized to undermine her. While Mariah was working on her single Loverboy, she requested the song Firecracker by Yellow Magic Orchestra to sample. Mottola and Sony noticed this and acquired the sample to create a song for J-Lo. Firecracker was by no means a hot sample at the time, so they clearly requested it to sabotage Mariah. The sample was eventually used for J-Lo's song I'm Real. Soon after, the Murder remix was released, which features Ja Rule. The Murder remix has different lyrics and production, so the Firecracker sample isn't in this one. However, having Ja Rule on the song was yet another shot at Mariah, as she had planned to release a collaboration with him too. The sabotage was later confirmed by Irv Gotti, a producer and co-founder of Murder Inc. Records. He said, Tommy Mottola called me because he found out that me and Ja cut a record with Mariah Carey, and at the time he hated Mariah Carey, so he was pumping Jennifer Lopez to compete.
Damn.
According to Irv, Mottola said to him, I need you to make a record with J-Lo, but I want you to put Ja Rule on it and make it a duet kind of record. The I'm Real Murder remix was a success. It went #1 and stayed at that spot for 5 weeks. The release of I'm Real forced Mariah to rework Loverboy and change the sample. She ended up sampling the song Candy from the funk band Cameo, who featured on the track. Loverboy was the lead single from her album Glitter and was Mariah's first to not go #1. Glitter was released just 3 days after the I'm Real remix went #1. Unfortunately, this day was September 11, 2001, so of course no one's attention was on Mariah's album. Due to her struggles with her mental health and the failure of the Glitter album and movie, Virgin Records cut ties with Mariah. Nearly half the songs on Glitter contain features from hip-hop artists. The album has collaborations with Mystical, Busta Rhymes, Fabulous, Nate Dogg, Ludacris, and The Brat. Ludacris and The Brat feature on the Loverboy remix, along with Shawnna and 22. It still has the funk sound in the original, but obviously has a more hip-hop sound too, helped by the rap features. Several other hit songs from the 2000s also capitalize on this trend. Aaliyah's We Need a Resolution featured Timbaland, and he has a verse in the song rather than the ad-libs and short clips he was known for contributing to Aaliyah's songs, along with the production of course. Timbaland collaborated in a similar way with several pop and R&B acts of his time, including Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado, Madonna, and the Pussycat Dolls. Aside from Crazy in Love, Beyoncé released Baby Boy on her debut album, which featured the Jamaican rapper Sean Paul. On Goody, Sierra collaborated with Missy Elliott on 1-2 Step, Ludacris on O, and P.D. Pablo on the title track. Fergie also took advantage of this trend with Fergalicious and Glamorous, which were collaborations with will.i.am and Ludacris respectively. One of Rihanna's earliest hits, Umbrella, contains a feature from Jay-Z in the intro. The rap feature was no less popular for pop artists in the 2010s. Ariana Grande collaborated with several rappers early on in her career. One of her earliest hits was The Way, which features Mac Miller. Break Your Heart Right Back, which features Childish Gambino, interpolates Mo Money, Mo Problems, a direct reference to the era in which this musical trend became popular. Best Mistaken Right There featured Big Sean. Problem, which featured Iggy Azalea, was Ariana's highest charting song at the time, peaking at #2 on the Hot 100. Big Sean is also featured on the song. Those whispered vocals are uncredited.
I still can't
Nicki Minaj was another common collaborator of Ariana's. They collaborated on songs like Side to Side, Bang Bang, which also features Jessie J, and The Light Is Coming. Justin Bieber also collaborated with Nicki Minaj, as well as other rappers like Ludacris, Big Sean, Drake, and Quavo. Despacito, one of the biggest songs of the 2010s, was a Latin pop collaboration between Luis
haven't.
Fonsi with a rap feature from Daddy Yankee.
Maybe I have. I just don't
Justin
know
Bieber
what it
features on
sounds
the
like.
remix,
I
the
still
success of which is
haven't.
credited with reviving Latin pop music in the American market.
I still haven't.
Despacito broke several
Let me see
records,
if
and
I
at
heard
one
this
point
one
was the most viewed
before.
music video and video in general online. Two more
No,
of the
I feel like it
decade's
was on
biggest pop
a
songs, Dark
compilation
Horse
I
and the Bad
read
Blood
to,
remix
and I didn't
also contain
recognize
rap
it.
features. Throughout her career, Mariah never really stopped working with hip-hop artists. Almost all of her albums after Daydream contain at least a few collaborations with rappers. I think one of the more random yet entertaining ones is the 2015 remix of Obsessed, which features Gucci Mane. By this time, the nature of song remixes had kind of changed. Now they typically have the same production as the original song, but with another artist on it. Caution, Mariah's most recent studio album, contains features from Ty Dolla $ign, Slick Rick, and Gunna. In 2017, Mariah was honored for her hip-hop collaborations at VH1's Hip Hop Honors ceremony. That year's event was officially titled Hip Hop Honors, the 90s Game Changers. She performed at the event along with TLC, Lil' Kim, and Montel Jordan. Mariah was honored alongside Jermaine Dupri and Martin Lawrence. Jermaine has produced several songs for Mariah over the years, including Always Be My Baby, the So-So Def mix of Honey, We Belong Together, and Shake It Off. Jay-Z and Jeezy actually feature on the remix of Shake It Off. Mariah's collaborations with hip-hop producers and rappers worked well not only because it was something she genuinely liked, but also because it leaned into growing popular tastes in music. The increasing popularity of hip-hop meant that it influenced a lot of pop music and in a sense was becoming a part of pop music. Including both genres in one song appealed to two fan bases at once and potentially introduced a new artist and even a new genre to some of Mariah's fans. It sounds silly to say some people were completely oblivious to the hip-hop world in the 90s, but people were, and even some still are to this day. At first glance, it could seem that Mariah's hip-hop collaborations were out of place, and that Mariah's sweet feminine image was the polar opposite of that of a rapper.
I think that's
But
what makes
Mariah's
it
approach to
appealing.
music has a lot in common with that of many rappers. She writes and produces her own music, and personally selects a lot of the samples, all of which are foundations of hip-hop. In addition, Mariah's always been a fan of hip-hop and could personally relate to a lot of the struggles that rappers discuss in their music.
Like
Pop
what?
songs with rap features are still popular in the 2010s.
What struggles?
Dua Lipa's
She
song
relates to.
Levitating has been one of the decade's most popular songs so far. The second remix, which featured DaBaby, revived interest in the song and pushed it higher on the charts. After DaBaby's controversial statements at Rolling Loud, it was Dua's own version that got the most promotion and attention. In 2021, Levitating was named Billboard's #1 Hot 100 Song of the Year. The song is also the longest charting song for a woman in the Hot 100, charting for 77 weeks.
I still think that
In
was
2020,
raggedy.
Ariana Grande released a remix of her song 34 plus 35, which featured Megan Thee Stallion and Doja Cat. Another song on Positions, Motive, also features Doja. Ariana said about the collaboration, Doja Cat had a whole verse done, everything was done. She was like, how many bars can I take? Because this is mad inspiring and I just want to go. And I was like, take as many bars as you want. Do it. If you're inspired to say stuff, let's go. And so she just goes off on it, and it's so much fun and I love it. It's my favorite so far. On Positions, Ariana also collaborated with Ty Dolla $ign on the song Safety Net. Just recently, Pink Panthers and Ice Spice teamed up for a remix of Boy's a Liar, titled Boy's a Liar Part 2. Though it was already one of Pink Panthers' most popular songs, the Ice Spice feature helped it soar in popularity. At the time that I'm recording, the song is currently number 3 on the Hot 100. In addition, the song's success is exposing even more people to Pink Panthers, who's been on a steady rise for the past couple years now. Another example of such a song is Metro Boomin's Creepin'. The Weeknd provides the vocals for the track, and 21 Savage delivers a rap verse. Creepin' is actually a cover of Mario Winans' 2004 song I Don't Wanna Know, which itself samples Inya's song Bodicea. More accurately, I Don't Wanna Know is actually a sample of a sample since it's based on the Fugees' Ready or Not, which also uses the Inya sample.
Oh shit, it is.
So yes, now whenever you are listening to your favorite pop star or R&B star and your favorite rapper collaborate, you can thank Mariah Carey.
Period. All right, Mariah, you better change the game. I love it. A good R&B and rap collab is everything when it's done right, or even pop and rap. You know, is epic when it's done right. But I hate when it's forced, though. Sometimes collabs just don't make sense, and it's like, what? Why is Katy Perry with the Migos? Like, okay. Even the Dula Peep and the Baby, I'm like, all right. Like, you know, so sometimes it don't seem like it make a lot of sense. I'm not really a big fan of it, but sometimes it meshes perfectly, and it's great. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!